Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway. This Labor Day, fire up the grill and enjoy quality meats and fresh local produce from Safeway. Safeway proudly supports Colorado farms and small businesses. Shop in-store or in the Safeway app.
If you're craving pumpkin spice weather, hold up. It appears today's cooler temperatures along the Front Range are a bit of a tease. Meteorologists tell us this September is forecast to bring, on average, slightly above normal temperatures and only average amounts of rain. I'm Bazi Kanani. Coming up, she fell from a ski lift and will get $12 million.
This decision is really a first of its kind.
How it's changing the liability for ski resorts. Then, a professional violinist gets detained by ICE agents posing as his employers.
He's the type of person that we want here.
What it reveals about immigration enforcement in our state. Plus, CU's plans to pay its college athletes millions of dollars.
To find the $20.5 million, CU Athletic Director Rick George has had to look for new revenue.
And you'll get an idea for your weekend. It's Friday, September 5th. Here's the news in Colorado today. When you ski or snowboard, you might not read the fine print on the back of your pass. But for years, you've been agreeing to a legal liability waiver when you buy a lift ticket. And those waivers have protected ski resorts in the case that you, say, fall off a chairlift. But a new jury decision may have just upended that. Vail Resorts is being ordered to pay $12.4 million. CPR's Tony Gorman is here to fill us in. Tony, what happened in this case?
So in 2022, Annie Miller went on a ski trip to Crested Butte with her church group from Oklahoma. She was 16 years old. Miller wasn't fully secured when she got on a chairlift and ended up falling 30 feet onto hard-packed snow. The fall left her paralyzed, and a year later, her family sued Crested Butte and its owner, Vail Resorts. They alleged the resort was negligent. A county court dismissed the case because Miller's family had agreed to the liability waiver, but the family appealed, and ultimately Colorado's Supreme Court heard the case.
And the Supreme Court then disagreed.
That's right. It ruled that waivers don't protect ski resorts if they violate state laws. In Miller's case, those were the Colorado Ski Safety Act and the Colorado Passenger Tramway Safety Practice Act. Those laws establish safety standards for ski resorts and regulate things like gondolas and chairlifts.
What happened after the Colorado Supreme Court ruling?
Well, the judges sent it back to the Broomfield County Court. Miller's family argued that Crested Butte lift operators violated national ski safety standards when they failed to stop the chairlift before she fell. The jury has now awarded the Millers $12.4 million. They found the resort partially responsible for the girls' injuries.
What is it that makes this case so historic?
This decision is really a first of its kind. Recreational industries, not just the ski industry, have used liability waivers to avoid negligence claims for decades. Miller's case may have changed that standard and could force ski resorts and rafting companies to put more emphasis on safety.
How is Vail Resorts responding?
Well, they aren't happy. In a statement, they said that the decision is inconsistent with Colorado law. They did acknowledge the toll this accident took on Miller and her family and went on to say their resorts are committed to the highest safety standards. You know, it's not clear yet if there will be a financial impact on ski areas more broadly. For example, with their insurance costs, that could hurt small ski areas in particular.
CPR's Tony Gorman. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
ICE agents in Colorado Springs detained a professional violinist who immigrated here from South Korea. He has now posted bond, but he still faces the possibility of deportation. And while this case is just one of thousands, this particular detention is causing an uproar in the music community. It's also getting national attention because of what it reveals about the way immigration agents are operating. Arlo talked about this with CPR's Allison Sherry.
Allison, first, who is John Shen?
He is a violinist. He's 37 years old. He grew up in Utah. His father came to the U.S. on a student visa and brought his son, John, when he was a kid. And like a lot of people in that situation, he never had a path to permanent legal status when he was a child. When he went to college, he did get protections under DACA for a time, but those were revoked a few years ago when he got an impaired driving infraction in Utah in 2019.
Okay, so those protections were revoked. He's been working as a musician and trying to get legal status.
Yeah, that's right. He was without status, and he was actually, though, married to a U.S. citizen in 2021. But they haven't been able to get citizenship for Shin yet, in part because they weren't making enough money.
Wow, I didn't know that was a requirement.
Yeah, I didn't either. As of March 2025, a family of four would need to make more than $40,000 a year to qualify for citizenship.
Wow. I want to talk about the way that he was picked up by ICE, because that's really what is raising eyebrows here.
So he had taken a job at a telecommunications company, which essentially means that he was fixing cell phone towers. He was kind of the guy behind the computer while someone climbed up and tried to see what the problem was. And he had a contract last week in Colorado Springs, and one of the cell phone towers was on the Fort Carson Army base, which is obviously federal land. He got to the base to fix the tower, and something glitched with his ID, probably because he didn't have legal status. He did have a driver's license and an ID, but he wasn't able to get on. He goes back to the hotel room, calls his boss. I think it's the same day, he gets a call from people who say they're from Fort Carson, that they want to talk about the project, goes to meet them, and it's actually ICE, and they detain him right then.
I mentioned that his fellow musicians are upset. Can you tell us more about what the response was to his detention?
Yeah, letters from across the classical music world have flooded in. He and his wife played everywhere they could get a gig. They played in weddings. They played at the ballet. They were subs in the symphony. So I think he just had lots and lots of friends, and people have been writing in, some directly addressed to the judge, describing his character's contributions, his care for the community. They have a GoFundMe, and it's raised more than $69,000.
Wow.
There's also been performances, acts of solidarity, gestures of support. And, I spoke to his wife outside of the detention center in Aurora. So this is obviously very personal to her, and she's trying to keep her spirits up.
This is just the beginning of the rest of our battles. But my attorneys keep telling me that he's the type of person that we want here. And so I just really believe that good will overcome.
So even if he's released on bond, the deportation case is still open, and his lawyer says they'll be pursuing legal avenues to try to get him to stay in the country.
As I mentioned before, this is just one case of thousands. But what does this one show us about the way that ICE is operating?
Well, Arlo, it's been broadly reported that they are masking. They don't have identifiers on them. No one really knows who these people are. They just walk around kind of anonymously. We also now know that they're dishonest when they're trying to get people out of their private spaces, whether it's their house or their hotel room or their car. And, I know police use those tactics too, but these are administrative warrants. These are not judicial warrants. So that is something that we've learned.
CPR's Allison Sherry, thank you.
You're welcome.
Tomorrow, you can watch the Rams in Fort Collins or the Buffs in Boulder. Both football teams have home games. Some of the athletes that you see on the field this fall are making more money than ever before. They can now get paid by both companies and the schools themselves. This comes after the NCAA agreed to end its requirement that college athletes remain amateurs. But it puts the universities in a tricky spot. Lincoln Roach is reporting on how CU and CSU are handling this massive change in college sports. Lincoln, colleges and universities can now spend up to $20.5 million to pay and lure student athletes. Are CU and CSU doing that?
Yeah, so in Fort Collins, CSU is not planning to spend that much right away. Colorado State University Athletic Director John Weber has said CSU will pay as low as $4 million this year, but that he'll ramp up to the full $20.5 million eventually. CU does plan to spend the full allotment of money available to it.
What is the student athlete signing up for when they agree to take this money?
The student is essentially giving the school the right to use their name, image, and likeness. I did an open records request and got a hold of what the agreement looks like. The student also agrees to serve as an independent contractor for things like content creation for marketing purposes.
Does CU's money to pay athletes go mostly to football players, since that's the sport that does bring in the most money, especially now in the Deion Sanders era?
You're definitely right that CU football brings in a ton of money. It made more than $50 million last year between ticket sales, the bowl game, and media rights. That absolutely dwarfs all the other sports on campus, and CU has decided that payments to students will be proportional to each sport's revenue. At this point, it's not clear just how much of the money available to pay students at CU will be given to non-football students. The question is particularly important when it comes to women student athletes. They are not likely to get an equal share. Men's football and basketball programs are getting the vast majority of the funds across the country.
What about Title IX? That's the law that requires equal participation in school sports for women. Does it apply to these kinds of payments to student athletes?
The Trump administration has actually said it believes Title IX does not matter when it comes to distribution of these funds for student athletes. They said it does not have to be even between men and women, but Title IX advocates may take that to court.
Where does this money come from? The up to $20.5 million that colleges can now pay directly to student athletes. Is that taxpayer funding, since these are public universities?
No tuition or public funds will be used for the name, image, and likeness payments. To find the $20.5 million, CU Athletic Director Rick George has had to look for new revenue, including a new subscription program called Buffs Premier. It gives fans who pay perks like personalized messages from coaches and athletes, and can cost as much as $99 a month. They've also eliminated some vacant positions to cut costs, and the Board of Regents more than tripled the athletics fee that all undergraduate students pay to $90. So, Bazzi, this transition to treating college athletes more like pros has been challenging. At CU, while the football program is bringing in a lot of money, it's also spending a lot. So CU is trying to figure out how to afford all the higher payments to athletes and to the coaching staff.
Lincoln Roach, thanks for your reporting.
You're welcome.
If you're not watching the Rams and Buffs tomorrow, you could check out some live music at the Golden Hours Music Festival in Denver.
I took a couple steps and kept walking away from you.
This is the headliner, the Knox and Dragonette. 4 bands are slated to play in all, plus DJs performing at the festival. It's free, and Colorado Today will be there. Come say hi at our booth. The festival is from 2 to 9 at Riverfront Park. Find more details and more ideas for things to do this weekend at the link in the show notes. Colorado Today is supported by listeners. Have you considered making a donation? You can find a link in the show notes. I'm Bazzi Kanani. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway. This Labor Day, fire up the grill and enjoy quality meats and fresh local produce from Safeway. Safeway proudly supports Colorado farms and small businesses. Shop in-store or in the Safeway app.